The Las Vegas Raiders. That's been confirmed by our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, this morning. NFL Network reports that it's a conditional third-rounder going to Vegas in the trade. The move reunites, of course, Aaron Rodgers and Adams, who played together in Green Bay. And when you look at some of those numbers, 76 total touchdown passes between the two. Also including the playoffs there, that ties the fifth most TD connections between a QB and wide receiver. So what does that mean, not on the field, but in the fantasy world? You hear the cackling there with the keyboard? It's because Dave Richard is trying to figure that all out here. That breaking news, Davante Adams going to the Jets, that's new life if you had him fantasy-wise.
Absolutely. And now I just wonder, how's Davante Adams going to do with Aaron Rodgers? Oh, wait, we've seen it for many, many years. We know exactly what to expect. Something like 620 receptions between the two of them, almost 70 touchdowns between the two of them. So Rodgers and Adams should be on the same page very quickly. And I think what fantasy managers are hoping for here is a situation in New York between Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, just like what we have in Cincinnati, in Houston, in Tampa Bay. These are teams, Philadelphia is another one. Teams with two great number one, 1A types of wide receivers and enough volume to get there. Do you think that these receivers in New York can get at least 7 targets per game each? I think they can. And as long as they can, and that might even get into 8.5 targets per game from Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a funnel to those two guys. Defenses are going to have a hard time stopping them. Davante Adams is older. He looks good. You can go back and watch his games even this year for the Raiders. Last year for the Raiders, he looked good. His numbers are about to spike. This is a good move for the Jets. It puts Davante Adams back in the top 12 conversation. So anybody that might have Davante Adams on their fantasy teams, you're just happy to get him back on the field eventually. Now you're going to get him back with a quarterback that he knows and an offense that will still certainly throw the ball a lot. He will get a lot of targets. Garrett Wilson, more of a top 15-ish type of fantasy wide receiver. And now we've got to talk about Aaron Rodgers seriously as a low-end starting fantasy quarterback now.
Wow. I have Davante Adams on my team. I'm excited because I was waiting to see where is he going to end up. When you look at maybe the other Jets players on this team who might be affected negatively or positively, is Breece Hall a loser potentially in the situation?
I actually think he's a winner. And last night we saw him have great efficiency both first half, second half. Really, anytime he got the football, he did a good job. And it's Buffalo, and their run defense isn't what it used to be. But I think we're going to see him see fewer stacked boxes. Defenses aren't going to be able to say, okay, we're going to slam on the run. You're not going to beat us with the pass. They can't do that anymore. It's Davante Adams along with Garrett Wilson. And Wilson, for what it's worth, looked like he was on the same page with Aaron Rodgers for the first time on Monday night. So I think that there's a real opportunity here for Breece Hall to see his rushing average spike. You saw him dominate carries over Braylon Allen. I think this is looking good for him. Who's it looking bad for? It's looking bad for Allen Lazard. So he caught the Hail Mary. We kind of talked about this on our podcast. He had been like a good bye-week replacement wide receiver. Now you just say bye-bye to Allen Lazard because he's not going to get very many targets. Same thing with Tyler Conklin. He was a streaming tight end. Now you stream him out of your life. It's going to be these two guys as the top wide receivers and the top 2 target getters as long as they're healthy for the New York Jets.
I was going to say Mike Williams after what happened there. I want you to take a look at these numbers because when you look at it here, take a look at the most passing yards. You kind of mentioned the active QB receiver duo there, Rodgers and Adams. Of course, they haven't played together in the last, year and a half or so, and right behind Mahomes and Kelsey. Off of that, you kind of mentioned some of the biggest winners. If you had to circle one guy in that offense, if it is Breece Hall, if it is Garrett Wilson outside of Adams, or is it maybe Rodgers, who is the biggest impact if you're thinking fantasy of those targets you might have?
Well, I'm thinking that everyone knows to start Davante Adams and knows to still start Garrett Wilson and knows to still start Breece Hall. I think it's Rodgers. I think you're going to see Rodgers get picked up. He was already rostered in a ton of leagues anyway, but now he'll be rostered in 100% of leagues, and you're going to see him as a consideration as a start. This week's going to be hard for them. They're playing at Pittsburgh, but after that, at New England, Houston, that game's got shootout written all over it. At Arizona, they're going to crush Arizona. And then Indianapolis the week after that, and then they go on to bye in week number 12. That's a good schedule. I think there's definitely a case to be made for Aaron Rodgers to get right back into the top 12 conversation among fantasy quarterbacks.
Any points that Adams brings my way, I, of course, will be very happy with. But just out of the sake of curiosity, of course, we do know that Adams is going to the Jets. But when it was put out there that, okay, he's going to be traded, would there have been maybe a better destination that would have given maybe more boost to those fantasy managers that had Adams?
Well, what did the Jets give up to get Davante Adams? It's a conditional third-round pick.
Second round, yeah.
Buffalo just took control of the AFC East with their win on Monday. If they had given a conditional second-round pick for Davante Adams. They beat the Jets on the offer. They take the guy away from the Jets. He's the #1 wide receiver with no clear #2, really, that's worth a darn in that passing game. No offense, Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir. You guys are nice. But Davante would get 10 targets a game from Josh Allen. And he would get it further downfield than where Aaron Rodgers is going to throw it. That would have been amazing. I really wish he had gone to Buffalo. But New York isn't. Anything's better than Las Vegas.
Okay.
On the flip side, if you do have a defense that is facing the Jets offense or some of those targets, are you wary now? Because in the weeks past, it's fine. You have your defense that gets, offensive targets. Are you wary now of like, no, I don't think I want to have?
I mean, I've got the Steelers DST in a couple of leagues, and if I find out that Davante Adams is going to play, I'm going to be less excited to start them. But that's still a defense that's got a great pass rush, good enough pass defense. I know that they've kind of been beat up a little bit there. I think that you're still going to start the Steelers DST as an example, but of the other teams that I mentioned that they're going to play, no chance I'm starting any of those DSTs against the Jets now. No way.
Good news all around. I'm feeling good about my chances to improve over my poor 2-4 record, Dave.
So
bring in the good news.
You like the Jets?
I'm very thankful.
You know what? Like 2-4 in the NFL is bad. 2-4 in fantasy, it's not that bad. You're going to be okay. And now that you got Davante back, look how happy he is.
I am. I feel very happy.
Yeah. So you just string together some wins. You'll be a playoff team.
Dave, we go out with this Davante Adams numbers this season, and it's certainly not eye-popping because the Raiders haven't done much on offense, just one receiving touchdown. But hopefully now Adams is helpful and healthy and will be able to help out now with the Jets. And, of course, don't forget Fantasy Football today is your home for all things fantasy. We just heard from Dave Richard. They further the conversation, so make sure you like and subscribe to them to get the help to get a W week in and week out. But we're not done with all the football talk because when we come back, we will check in on pushing the pile. The guys, Mike Renner and Kyle Long, getting busy talking the NFL on a Tuesday.